Okay, this is my lesson plan project, and what I did for my lesson plan was a project called Shark Tank, and it's just like the real life show. I had my kids actually create a business idea, had them create a product, and they came into my classroom and attempted to sell it to me and four other sharks, and these sharks were just teachers and administrators who decided to volunteer for the project itself. But the standards that this unit covers or that this project covers are some of the most difficult standards in all of economics: business organizations, market structures, and supply and demand. Year after year, these are some of the most difficult concepts that my kids have, and as far as understanding them. So I thought this might be an easier way, or maybe not necessarily an easier way, but a way for these kids to be able to buy into actually learning this material. So what we did as far as creating the project itself is a Google slide, some Google Forms, a YouTube commercial, and then optional, I had kids say that they could, or I had kids be able to either create a website for their product or for their company, whatever it may be. But as far as Google Slides is concerned, I had the kids include this information in their presentation. And it was the supply and demand for their product, their market structures, their business organizations, the factors of productions that they're using, and so on and so forth, right? The stuff that's listed out here is the stuff that they had to convey in their presentation. Right? And I use these tools just because it's very easily accessible at our school because we are so Google inundated, right? The next one that we used was a Google form, right? And I have an example here. If I had them create a survey, right, of their business or of their product, right, to see how their customers feel about the product. So this is the sample that I gave them in my class. So I told them, ask their surveyants, how old are they, right? Ask them to rank how interested they are in their product, right? This kind of helps to determine the level of demand for your product. I asked them to give them a price and how many would they buy at that price. This ultimately helps them to be able to build a demand curve. And again, I know you guys may not be experts in economics, but this is kind of the idea behind it. And then finally, I asked them to list the factors which might influence them purchasing this. And this is the determinants of demand. So it was allowing my kids to see real life examples of how demand is actually generated and how the determinants of demand affect a product. All right, the next thing we did is I had the kids create a commercial about their product. All right, and I told them it could either be a commercial or customer testimonials, or they could do whatever else they wanted to. Honestly, as long as they got it approved and they were creating some kind of an infomercial or something like that about their product, I just thought it'd be pretty neat and it'd just be fun for them to be able to do this, right? But I had them use YouTube for that because in the past I've had kids create videos and they weren't able to play them in my class because they use a certain video editor or something like that. And it just made it a lot easier because YouTube allows you to use so many different media files to be able to create stuff. And I had the kids create it as a private channel. That way we wouldn't have to worry about all the other bad stuff and their names or faces getting out there and that stuff. And they just shared it with me and just their group members. All right. As far as the project itself, again, like I said, they're creating a business, they're creating an idea. And again, they're having to look at supply and demand, they're having to look at the market structures, business organizations. The one thing that I did want to point out that kind of worked, but it kind of didn't, was the troubleshooting part of it. Given the whole idea that we have one-to-one Chromebooks, one thing that worked out well was whenever I brought my laptop in, because it's invariably happens that one or two kids is going to leave their laptop at home or their Chromebook at home. So they could use my laptop, and they had my teacher computer up here up front to be able to use it as well. So that actually worked well. Having extra chargers worked out really well. The one thing that didn't work too great is the student tech team, because most of my kids were already bogged down with their own stuff that they weren't able to help. So what I wound up doing was taking the problems from first block and training kids in second and third block to be able to answer those questions and deal with those problems. As far as what I would do in the future to improve this project is maybe get involved with the AV Tech class downstairs and let our kids use the green screens to create their computers. I've already started creating a how-to document with frequently asked questions. I think it might be just something neat for the kids to see if I had a guest shark, maybe a community member, like Skype in to be able to serve as a shark during the presentations. And then finally, maybe acquire some outside advisors, maybe some entrepreneurs in the business to be able, or in the community, to be able to help the kids, be able to help the kids out and just kind of share ideas with them and maybe let them have some feedback about where they stand and if they think things that they're doing are good idea or not. But anyway, appreciate it, guys.